Hello, good morning. Well, I've had my walk and I'm now just letting my breakfast sink in. I watch one of my regular channels that I follow now and again just to have a look and see what they're talking about now. And I see my dear friend in what I describe often at the pass as living in an ivory tower, which maybe I need to explain to you. When you live in an ivory tower, the concept of that is that you live outside of the circle. In other words, you're living not in the heart of a problem or an issue. You're tending to isolate yourself to, I suppose, have a view of something that's not necessarily real. And it's interesting to hear his subject this morning about, is your Filipina stupid? Well, those that have been here or around Filipinas for long enough to make a decision like that or an idea come to that point is maybe being a bit stupid themselves because you know Filipinos aren't stupid at all. You know, he describes his own wife going to America on a spousal visa and that she has spent 3 years in America learning how to drive, learning how to do banking, learning how to do shopping. I thought those were pretty natural for all of us. Even people with limited understanding of the banking system can go in and ask a bank, how can I open up a bank account? What is required? Okay, you can go in with your partner or your wife and you can introduce her to your bank manager or your consultant at your local bank and maybe help her through the process. But for most Filipinos who haven't travelled, who haven't been outside of their own country even, or even been into a city, banking is somewhat foreign to them. The concept of putting money in and allowing somebody else to hold it until you need it is a bit scary for those that have no knowledge of it. Learning to drive. You don't have to be a Filipino to learn to drive and go through the scariness of putting your foot on the wrong pedal at the wrong time. Look at that dreadful accident that sadly killed a few people. A family going back to his job overseas, only to find his wife now in hospital and his daughter passed away as a result of an accident driving. Put his foot on the wrong pedal, apparently, at the airport. Now, learning to drive, whether it's a motorbike, whether it's a car or a tricycle, takes some skill and practice. Practice makes perfect. When people suggest that, or do they, that Filipinas are maybe not up to the level that we would expect them to be. In other words, are they stupid? I've never asked myself, is my Filipina stupid? Maybe she was stupid having me as a partner. Maybe she is stupid having me as a partner. But is she stupid? You know, I've bumped into enough Filipinas to know the ones that have been to college, got a degree in good subjects, worthwhile subjects for the world up in front of them. But I've also bumped into Filipinos who didn't go to college, didn't have that formal education. And I look at their lives and I'm amazed at what they've achieved. So I wouldn't call them stupid at all. And I don't hear other people on other blogs calling people stupid. But it got your attention, didn't it? Do you call your Filipina stupid? Do you think your Filipina is stupid? I think surely people can make a comment from a Western point of view that, oh, that's a bit silly, that's a bit stupid. But they're not actually saying that Filipinas are stupid. The idea that somehow calling someone stupid is in the same category as the comment that many of us make, that quite often a Filipina is only interested in your money and where it will put her in her life direction. If we ignore that point and we somehow link it to being they're stupid, no, they're not. They're very clever. You know, I like the old idea. Here you are, you're 55, you're 60, going on 70. Whatever your age is, you're retired. Your marriage has broken down. You're no longer living in a home where you call it your own. She has sold it under your feet. You've managed to end up with a bit of cash as a result of the separation. So what do? Do you go and find a room to rent? Do you find a small little flat somewhere? North Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide? Or do you maybe look at the idea of hitching up with a lady who has been fortunate enough to end up with a very nice, comfortable home? She's eager to find a partner, a companion. It's not very hard to win her heart. And what do? We maybe move in with her. We have a very comfortable lifestyle. We get to meet her friends. She drives us around in her fancy car because the car you brought along no longer looks good in her driveway. So you think, oh, well, I'll flog it off. I'll get another one later. And life goes on. Potter around the garden, do a bit of painting here, fix up a broken chair. And life is peaceful. Is she stupid? She's a foreigner as well. Now, put the same scenario to a lady here in the Philippines. She comes from a poor background. She has got a good education, but she didn't get the right opportunities. She's not stupid. She could walk rings around most people in her knowledge of her chosen subject of her degree. Some have even become nurses, gone overseas. Some haven't, and they've set up small business, and they've been very successful. Does that make them stupid for choosing a foreigner who might be able to lift them up or give them a helping hand? I don't hear anybody saying, including myself, I don't think Filipinos are stupid in the slightest. I can point out issues that may confront you as a foreigner with a Filipina based upon my own experience and the experience of many foreigners that I've met who've expressed similar points of view. The suggestion somehow that we're maybe choosing the wrong one. From someone who's been married maybe twice, he said this morning. Maybe he also made a mistake. Maybe his current one is doing all the right things at the moment. He hasn't yet experienced the downfall. But then, of course, he's in a very comfortable position. He has a home in Mindanao. He has an ivory tower apartment. He lunches and dines and drinks locally, regularly. Not every night, but he knows a lot about the red light area. Why? Because that's what intrigues him. Nice guy on the face of it. I haven't got anything bad to say about him. I once called him, what is it? Fat, bald, living in ivory towers. I had to apologize to him because he took offense. He didn't really. Of course he didn't. He knows who he is. He was bald. He was overweight. And he did live in a tower block. And he had an ivory tower attitude toward life. But people have warmed to that cuddly little man. Big man, maybe. I've never stood beside him. But he seems a nice enough guy. And he's mellowed since the days of Mikey. Maybe we all change our opinions over time once we get to see the other side of the coin. The idea that a woman who comes from the countryside, outside of a city, and there's a lot of countryside in the Philippines, just like there is anywhere else in the world. You know, I was watching a video the other day about, we'll call her Kate Middleton, the new Princess of Wales. Born in the Royal Berkshire Hospital. I know where it is. I had an appendix taken out there when I was young, in Berkshire, Reading, the home of the place where Oscar Wilde did the Ballad of Reading Jail. Simple beginnings don't mean that you don't have the ability to aspire to bigger things. Just because you're brought up on a farm doesn't mean as a daughter of a farmer that you can't succeed and be bright, intelligent, not stupid. Ambition, drive, those are the things that attract them to us. We are a stepping stone, just one of many. Education is another stepping stone. If you don't have that stepping stone, you look for other things, just like they do. And why not be attracted by the egg that the golden goose hatched? That's us stepping off the plane, talking to us online, becoming interested in foreigners. Of course, you'd rather have a communication with someone of your own kind. But would you have the same ability and opportunity necessarily without the stepping stone of a foreigner in your life? There is a part of Filipina culture that accepts us as a means to get ahead. It is nice. I'm sure that every Filipina or Filipino who meets a foreigner and becomes a partner, whether gay or straight, it lifts their life up. It changes their perspectives. They're not stupid because they choose that way of life. What do they call it? Mikey used to call it. He's the one that brought my attention to that horrible word, transactional. It sounds so hollow, so non-committed. You know, there's no harm in looking after yourself, looking after number one. We do it every day. We're told to do it every day. But it makes a good thought for the day, doesn't it? Let's talk about stupid Filipino wives or stupid Filipino girlfriends. Haven't found one yet. Have you? They'll come up with stupid ideas, sure. Let's build this, darling. Let's go into this kind of business. No business plan, just the idea of you can finance it. Now, is that stupid or opportunist? Never met a stupid Filipina yet, except ones that make mistakes, just like stupid foreigners. That's my thought for the day, and a good shout out to Mike and Arlene for giving me the idea. Bye now.